So over the last 10 years, I've done a fair amount of traveling. And I think what I'll do is I'll just list everything that I've done because I feel like I'll get sidetracked talking about all these different things, but I'll just list them on screen. And if you want to pause it and read them all, you can. But basically, over the last 10 years, I've spent about 2 years not working and just living a life of travel. And when I tell people that, oftentimes they ask me, like, how did you afford that? Like, or they kind of just, I feel like they kind of assume that maybe I came across some money or I'm like a trust fund kid or somebody gave me a lot of money. And that's not the case at all. Like I've had to pay for all these travels myself. Nobody's ever paid for any of these trips for me or like even bought any like the plane tickets. Nobody's ever done any of that. I've paid for all of these trips myself. And I just want to talk about that and just, kind of rant. I don't have a script or anything. Usually when I make these videos, I try to follow like bullet points and stuff, but I'm just going to kind of ramble and hopefully I can stay on topic. I think when I started traveling in 2015, I think it was probably easier. So I just take all this with a grain of salt. And I'm not like trying to act like I'm Mr. Know-It-All on this stuff. There's other YouTubers that have traveled way more than me. So I'm just trying to offer you guys my perspective. I think the biggest hurdle for a lot of people is just learning how to live within your means. And it sounds so simple and people just want to rush past that point. Oh yeah, we got it. We know we want a budget, but it's really, really important. Like I would not have been able to do all that stuff if I wasn't on point with all my savings and just really tracking where all of my money is going. And I think there's probably a lot of people out there who are just traveling and going into debt, which let me just say, don't do that. I think that's horrible advice. These kids that are taking a credit card and just, YOLOing all across the world, they're going to regret that later, I think. And I got to tell you, I'm 38 years old and I swear on this, I have never owned a credit card. Some of you might think that's crazy and ridiculous and you would never consider that, but it's just a personal choice of mine. I don't like debt. It is nice being debt free and after I went debt free, I was like, okay, well, now I can save for a trip and just feel like less guilty about it, about going on a trip or doing something extravagant like flying across the world. And knowing that I've already put in the work to earn that, it kind of makes it more rewarding, in my opinion. I'm not saying don't get a credit card or, I know a lot of y'all have crazy debt that's going to take decades to pay off, which is unfortunate that that's the world we're living in right now. And, if you're younger and you're taking on debt or you're considering college, just really be mindful of that debt. That's yours to pay off. This is your life. Just don't get trapped. I'm at my parents' house right now. I'm not trying to act like I'm Mr. Financial Responsibility over here. I don't know where I'm going with this. This is going to be a tough video to edit, I know, but I just trying to not make people feel bad about where their financial situation is. It's a tough topic, but I'm just offering you my perspective of where, how I was able to do this. And I think going back to staying on point with where you are and where all your money is going, for me personally, when I go through all my bills and see what I'm spending it on and what I'm earning, it's for me always at the first of the month, not on the second, not on the 31st. It's always the first day of the month. You go through everything that you had spent the previous month. You go over the previous month's earnings and what you've spent. And then with that, you get a figure. You subtract all of what you spent from all of what you earned. And that number there is how much you grew your wealth by. It's pretty simple. That's basically how I was able to afford all this stuff. It's okay, this month I only saved $1,200. So after 12 months of that, you can calculate how much you're gonna save throughout 1 year of working. It's very a methodical process that I have. Okay, I want to do the Appalachian Trail. I think I can do it for about $8,000 to $12,000. It's going to take me 6 months. How much time is it going to save me that $8,000 to $12,000 and you just put that aside and you don't touch it. And that's like one figure. That's like just to do it. And then you need money to like get back on your feet again. So you kind of need like a pad. Now, when I went on the Appalachian Trail, I always had like at least a $5,000 pad to come back and like live off of that while I'm like trying to find another job and get working, first month's rent in an apartment or whatever. But nowadays, I don't think that that's enough. I think you probably need, you need at least 10,000, and that's like if I get down to like 10,000 in the bank, you got to be like, okay, I need to take whatever job I can get because I don't want to be going into the red. That's where you really start to get in trouble. And again, I'm like a very privileged person because I've always had family to like, okay, I'm in a situation here and they would let me like move back in with them. I know that that's not the case for a lot of people out there. So I'm just trying to put that in there and just also remain humble, just try to humble myself, that not everybody has that. And I know it's a lot more difficult for people out there. I don't feel like there's enough compassion in the world for people. You see somebody living in their car and you think that they're just like, they've made a lot of mistakes. I think without my parents, I'd probably be in that situation. And I certainly wouldn't have been able to do the type of traveling that I have done without them. And that's just me being honest. I try to like always mention that in my videos, like, to live this kind of life of travel, I would say most of the people are doing it are all like very privileged Westerners, right? For me personally, I've like clothes are never like a big thing. You may have noticed on this channel, I wear like, I'm not a very stylish person. Okay. I'll give you that. I'm not trying to look flashy. And I'll say that when I go traveling, I think that helps me because if I'm going traveling somewhere and I'm like dressing up and I'm looking like I got a nice watch on, I'm kind of a target. And I'm already a target because I'm a foreigner. I'm in a place that's not familiar to me. So I'm kind of already a target no matter what I look like. But if I've got all this flashy stuff on, then a criminal's like, hey, that guy looks like somebody, you know how they think. You gotta put your mind in the mind of the thief if you're gonna try to like just to protect yourself. But I'm not trying to be flashy. I never, and a lot of people, they like to dress nice and they like to have nice fashion. I'm not trying to shit on people that have nice fashion. Don't get me wrong here. I'm just saying for me, that's not what I spend my money on. And I can more comfortably cut back on that without feeling bad about it. And I know it's tough now, man. It's, we're like potentially going into a recession here. These tariffs are not going to help anything. Oh, maybe I'll take this section and I'm going to talk about like what I did. So what did I do? How did I afford to travel? I'll talk about what I specifically did. Well, I have done a lot of different jobs. I've worked mostly in warehouses as a, unloading trucks by hand or driving a forklift. But I also found myself working in quality assurance in a large food manufacturing facility for a couple of years. I worked temporary jobs like as a UPS driver helper. I did that for a couple of years, not consecutively, but for a couple of years, like during the holidays. So 2 months at Christmas, basically. I did some video editing work for 6 months. I worked as an Appalachian Trail Ridge Runner, another temporary work thing. I've kind of been in and out of the temporary work agencies. I've worked for a lot of them on and off. It sucks to know that like somebody else is making more money off of you than just your employer. Basically how a temporary employment office works is like, hey, come in, we'll, give us your information, tell us what skills you have, and we'll find you a job. And it's good because you can often find work really quickly. Like you kind of got to be like ready to work if you're going to go into one of those places like immediately. Like they'll call you like, hey, we got a job Friday if you want to go. And then you can find yourself in a good job. So you can find good opportunity at them, but also you can kind of feel like you got ripped off at some of them too. I've been at some pretty shitty jobs through those temp agencies. And there was a couple jobs where I just, if you feel like you get sent to a job that's not yours, you feel like it's not safe. I left one because I just felt like it wasn't safe once. I eked out the day there, which, you know, I don't even think I should have worked the whole day, but whatever. I really kind of needed money, and like the one day of pay was actually going to help me. That's how low I got in my bank account once. It was like this factory that made glass. And man, these guys would they would cut glass like windows, like cutting glass, but there was like glass shards everywhere. And these guys were like playing, they were like throwing like shards of glass into the trash cans. And they were all like, you know, showing me all these scars on them. Like, yeah, one day I had to go to the hospital. The blood was like shooting out. And I mean, they were like joking about it, man. They thought it was like funny. And I'm like, yeah, dude, this is, I'm sorry. It's not worth your health or getting hurt for like whatever they're going to pay you, what, 15, 16 bucks an hour. So if you feel like you're unsafe at a place, dude, fucking leave that place. It's not like, and don't come back. What else have I done? Trying to stay on topic here again. How did I afford to travel? I like that. How can you afford not to? Every decision you make involving money is a decision that can make or break one of these trips for you. So like, if you think that, oh, just going and getting a coffee, it's not a big deal. It's only $5, but it really does add up, man. Those little decisions are where you can make or break that is a yes or a no on a trip. If somebody calls you a cheap ass, you know, just take it on the chin. I think to me, like a cheap ass is somebody that has a lot of money and they're still not living a life that they really enjoy. And I think in that sense, that's just really sad. I don't know. I don't want to judge too much or be too harsh on somebody because I don't know their struggles. And I'm like trying to like make up this person that I'm like inventing this person. Like who? Let's see, what else can I talk about? Here in the United States, you need a vehicle to get around. It's nearly impossible to live here without a car unless you're in, you know, New York City or San Francisco, Chicago, maybe. Having a vehicle in the United States is very important. And I've never had a car note, and I will likely never have a car note. I'm currently driving a 30-year-old car. It's a 95 Honda Accord. The AC doesn't work on it. It would be nice to have air conditioning in it, especially in these summer months coming up. But, you know, that is definitely one way that I've saved a lot of money. It's kind of a touchy subject because a lot of people would much rather, they're like, oh, well, I just need the security of a good vehicle to get me around, and I don't want to be stranded somewhere. And I get that. That's very, you know, it's a very good point. Another way that I was able to save money is I've lived with roommates. I did have my own place in Nashville once. It was a duplex. I like had the upstairs all to myself once, and that was really nice to have my own place, you know, my own like bedroom, bathroom, and kitchen. I would really like to get back to that at some point, but living with roommates will significantly save you some money. If you're going to go like just get your own 1-bedroom apartment, I mean, especially now, man, the rent prices have just gotten insane. And I always hesitate signing that lease because there's just a lot of shadiness with a lot of these massive apartment complexes, especially here in the US. What else, man? I really want to make this a good video. I've been rambling. I just want to make sure I'm not leaving anything out because it is like something that a lot of people think like, oh man, it must be nice. I don't know. I'll never have the money to do that. Like I've literally had people tell me that, like, I'll never have the money to do that. Like, why? You'll never have the money to do it. Like, it's not like somebody gave me this money to do this. Like I had to earn all this money and I earned it like doing like kind of low wage jobs. You just got to be smart with your money. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm not trying to like give people advice. I'm really not. That's not what I'm doing with this video. I'm just telling you how I was able to afford to travel. And if you were, who's watching this, like I probably don't know you, but if you're watching this and this is how I would talk to you if we were like, if I was just having lunch with some random stranger and he was asking me about traveling, this is how I would tell it to you. This isn't really a conversation about money and how to get it. I'm like, here, let me tell you this trick thing. And here, what you need to do is this. And that's a a ridiculous video to make, and I think there's a lot of shitty content like this online. I mean, this is all like kind of basic shit that I'm telling you guys, but I really believe that having some kind of financial literacy course should be a requirement for kids getting out of high school. So do your bills on the first of every month for the previous month. See where you're at. Then make a plan and go forth. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.